All kinds of great information here for you today, and hopefully a little bit of inspiration as well as it relates to a pond. And Mark Linton, this is not just your everyday run-of-the-mill pond. This is a pond that is quite impressive. I think you were telling me 50 feet wide. It's 20 feet deep at a certain location. And this is in Niles, Michigan, at a place that has been a treasured spot in this homeowner's yard for some time.
Yes, and the property is a hidden gem.
Yeah.
And this is something that you probably drive by a lot, but you have no idea that it's here.
Now, what your job was, you had an assignment to make this look as natural as possible. The homeowners, they had the pond in here already. They didn't want to have Mark come in with his crew and make it look like a planned landscape design. They really wanted it to flow. And so the naturalization of the pond was really the challenge of all the challenges, I bet.
It was, and that's it comes down to design and also plant material selection. We really didn't want to have anything that the homeowners would come out here and prune into shapes. We just wanted fluffy, natural designs. We want to blend in this with this very natural-like type of setting.
So we're not really even talking about low maintenance or no maintenance. Well, maybe no maintenance, right? Not so much low.
Other than hand watering, they've got irrigation system here, but because some of the trees are rather quite large and mature, they're having to do some hand watering just initially this season.
Talk about some of the other challenges that you were presented with when you first arrived here, Mark.
Yeah, there's a couple of others. Number one, we've got deer. We are in the middle of the woods. There's a lot of wildlife here. I've driven back here. I've seen turkeys, and it's so cool. And but the deer, there's a lot of landscape plants that deer actually love to eat. And so what we did was concentrate on those plants that are pretty much deer resistant. Now, if deer are starving, yeah, you know what, they sometimes may eat some things that aren't their favorites.
Yeah.
I always tell our customers, I don't really like liver and onions, but
if you're really hungry, you'd eat it.
If I was starving, I suppose I'd eat liver and onions. Kind of goes the same way with deer. So we keep our fingers crossed. These are deer-resistant plants here.
Gotcha.
The other challenge is we are in the middle of the woods, and it is very shaded here. And
just as you say that, the sun comes out.
It did. The sunniest spot is the middle of the pond, but we're landscaping around the outside edges. It's heavily wooded there, and so we are concentrating on plant material that thrives in low-light shaded areas.
Yeah, plant material such as daylilies, right?
Oh my goodness, Craig, there are over 500 daylilies here. Now we're pretty much close to the end of daylily season, so they have put on quite a show this season, but now the flower heads have come off in that. But this guarantees another beautiful show for next season.
And what a beautiful show it must be from the kitchen or dining room area, it appears, looking down, and there is an angle and a bit of a drop here. What a beautiful view.
It is the perfect setting for a pond that they can enjoy from inside, and there is a big bank of windows there. And it's all seasons. So you've got one look in the springtime, another look in the summertime, and then the beauty of fall. And then the homeowners were sharing with me how they really enjoy the ice formations from the fountains during the wintertime.
And you kept the view open on that side, but when you look on the other side, it's a different story.
Thanks for noticing. Yes, we didn't want to have any visual blocks from the view from the house. Right. So yes, of course, all lower plantings on the front side, taller plantings on the back here.
Well, tell us a little bit more about what we see in front of us, Mark.
Okay, well, directly behind us, Craig, these are some Japanese willows called Pakura Nishiki willows, and it's not a willow tree like what you typically think of. These are willow shrubs. They're prized for the variegated green and white leaves. In the springtime, the edge of the branches are hot pink color.
Cool.
Almost looks like they're in bloom. These do grow fairly quickly. They're going to naturalize this area quite well. And when there's a breeze, there's a lot of nice movement with these, which is very calming and relaxing.
Wow. Now, the pond itself was placed here by another contractor years ago. You came in to do the naturalization of the landscaping around it, as you
Yes,
mentioned.
it was over 10 years ago that the pond was installed.
And now what about some of these boulders? Did you bring those in?
We did. You're going to see a lot of large boulders, and of course we wanted to make sure that they were native boulders, meaning from this area, just so that it goes along with the naturalization.
Yep.
And we've got some unusual things in here. Irises are not all that unusual, but variegated irises are. And they give a lot of beauty at this time of the year. They look like an ornamental grass because of the variegated green and white leaves, but they also have spectacular purple flowers during the springtime.
Very cool. You know, I'm thinking the homeowners love what you've done, but I bet the wildlife really like it too. I mean, how cool would it be to be a squirrel out in this environment?
And
huh?
live here. Absolutely. Yes. This is one of our variegated red twig dogwoods. Cool thing about this is not only variegated green and white leaves, clusters of white flowers in the springtime, followed by clusters of white berries in the fall, which attract birds and wildlife. And a really cool thing is during the middle of the winter time when the leaves have defoliated, you've got bright red branches sticking up above the snow-covered ground.
And they're going to have that view for the very first time this winter, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
That's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome. Little bridge here going over the top.
Yes, this is something that the homeowner had installed years ago, a little dry creek bed leading down into the pond there.
Yep.
And it actually works during heavy rains in that it does direct the water into the pond there.
Sure. I love what you've done here along the way, Mark, and plenty of things to enjoy every step of the way.
You know, these boulders, some of them that we hand selected have flat surfaces, which is actually perfect for sitting here and just enjoying all the natural beauty.
Very good. Well, lots of things going on. And Mark, you talked early on about what you did in the very back, which kind of forms a backdrop, but very important work on the far side here too.
Yes, we've got a weeping willow tree there, and of course all the plant material selection are plants that thrive in the moist soil conditions here. You know, all the water does drain down to this area, so we've got a weeping willow there. We've got a bald cypress, which is very cool and unusual. We also have native trees such as this dogwood here. But this is a special dogwood. This is a pink flowering dogwood.
Really? A special one?
Yes. Been here in the springtime, and they have a lot of our white native dogwoods, and so it's very special to have something with the pink flowers. And then along the back of the pond here, you see the large clump white birch trees. What I like is that white bark really pops up against the evergreens.
I can see that. Yep.
And then there were some voids over there, and we installed some hemlock trees just to give it a nice evergreen backdrop.
When we were talking to the homeowners, they had a decision to make early on as to where to put this pond. They couldn't have chosen a better place, could they?
You know, they're talking about it's a very large piece of property, and there's an opportunity. They've got an open field area there, and it would have worked out fine there. The only thing is they would have to make a trip to go back there and see it. The nice thing about this is when you pull into the driveway here or any place from the house with all these windows overlook it, it is the perfect spot.
It sure is. I tell you, the job that you've done to make everything look seamless here even fooled our producer, Gary. He said, Mark, did you bring this in? Yes.
We did.
How about that one? Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the trees, like the birch trees and that, they're 10 to 12 feet tall.
Wow.
The boulders, you know, some of them are over 4 feet in width, and there's a lot of weight there. But the goal, of course, was to making it look as natural as possible.
Any closing footnotes here as we wrap up the segment?
Oh, well, you know, the best thing was when I came out here, the homeowners just shared their appreciation for a job well done, and also shared kind words about our team.
That is cool. Well, we get that a lot, don't we, when we go out?
We do. Of course, that's always the goal.
Now, when we approached the property, we even saw a sign that kind of hinted toward a nature preserve. And when I was talking to the homeowner before we went on, they said, you know, that sign was up here before we even moved in. So
very appropriate.
It's very appropriate. And naturalizing a man-made pond is today's theme. And if you have a pond, big or small, you might have a challenge or two. And if you do, call on Mark Linton and his crew at Linton's. You can go online at lintons.com, or you can, of course, stop in anytime. Mark, great job as usual.
Well, thank you, Craig.
Naturalization. It's all here on the show, and hope you picked up some good information. We've got much more coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.